Are you worried that Xpeng is going bankrupt?
Yes, very much.
Well, apart from all that, I still think this is one of the most handsome EVs on the market. Welcome to the new episode of Owner's Words, where we have the real owners over. And we have the ride. P7i. This is a mid-size executive, but with a crazy nominated 700 kilometers of range. Well, I find that figure mission impossible because the battery is only 86 kilowatt hour. So tell me, Wenqian, how many miles do you really get out of this thing?
我觉得不开空调的话，518是能跑的。如果像冬天开了空调，差不多要折损接近200公里的电吧，空调。
那跟它宣称的700公里差距还是蛮大的。
是的。
How long do you drive on a daily basis, and how often do you charge?
我日常上下班只开可能5-6分钟车程，但是我周末会出去玩，然后开的会比较多，然后1-2个月充一次就够了耶。
1-2个月充一次，
因为我周末出去玩就开个50-60公里，然后加上每天上下班10几公里，然后1-2个月充一次。
Well, I don't know you guys, but this is definitely one of the most extreme case. Like once in 1 or 2 months, I don't know. Leave your comment below, okay? Do you feel shorter range sometimes?
我觉得完全够了，特别是有一次我周末开去仙女山，只剩了200公里，但是是一个夏天哈，然后我往返回来还剩了100公里，就是那种电量越来越足。
是因为一直在下山吗？
有可能。
Okay. So I don't know if you any heard of the battery aging. Are you concerned about that?
我有点担心这个。然后，但是之前买的时候说是跌到70%，然后它会质保嘛，然后所以感觉也还好。我觉得它肯定会寿命减短，然后但是我现在还没到那个时间点。
Okay, just a quick tip. If you're going to figure out the full cost of buying an electric car, remember to include the cost of replacing the old battery, which might surprise you, so you wouldn't be tricked by just how affordable it is in the beginning. How much did you pay for this?
我有点忘了具体的，是24万多一点，但是这个车漆绿色的加了5000块，我记得很清楚。
Okay.
对。
How do you like this color?
绝美。
And were you looking at some other cars then, like comparing to this one? And what made this one stand out?
我试驾了特斯拉，还有小鹏，蔚来我也看了，然后就觉得特斯拉的内饰、做工什么的，然后有点不太符合我的预期，有一种试驾小鹏是那个精装的感觉，然后特斯拉是毛坯的感觉，然后最后就选的这个。
Okay. Are you worried that Xpeng is going bankrupt?
Yes, very much. 很担心，我当时买的时候是23年，然后那个时候小鹏是比较低迷的时候，然后我当时还问我的那个销售，他说放心，至少你买的这几年，就是到你换，应该都不会倒。
Well, just like an old man once said, hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. Let's hope this is a good ride. You know, for a car at this price point, I think they put really a lot of work into this decoration of this cabin. Like the power door, Napa leather, and a very friendly backseat angle. But in terms of practicality and space, I think they're kind of mean. Like they are pretty confident about their leg room, and they threw away the front, and they offered a wireless charge, but with only 15 watts. What's your favorite 3 features in this car?
一个就是音响，这个音响感觉音质特别的好，而且比较环绕音。然后第二个是电吸门，这种算吗？因为在同等价位中，然后感觉有电吸门会比没有电吸门的更有面子一点。然后还有一个，其实我比较喜欢它的香氛系统，它那个香氛系统真的让我觉得，哇塞，还可以做到这样。它包括和车机的联动，然后它那个界面，女生应该都会比较中意这个。
Do you have 3 least favorite features in this car?
2个其实，然后第一个主要是我觉得小 P 还可以再优化一下，特别是你唤醒它的时候， 然后会有点问题。然后第二个点就是这个手机充电，就放在那儿，真的是很鸡肋，因为它下头还有个接线口，然后这个上头无线，然后就只能放着，而且手机带了壳也充不了，
对，
然后就算没有壳也会发烫，就是超级无敌烫，我每次都要避开这块地方放手机。
So, how does your passengers feel about this car?
上次我们一共有5个人，对，我其中一个闺蜜是开的特斯拉，然后但是她是 Model Y。上一次我们出去玩是坐的她的车，然后大家的屁股就坐1个小时，然后屁股就会超痛。然后这一次我们开到北碚去，然后大家都会觉得好一些，开车的就是没有那种顿挫感也会好一些，但是这个也可能跟驾驶技术有关哈。不是在自夸。有个缺点就是后排真的很窄，下了车他们都给我说的，就是坐着舒服，但是有点窄。
As an executive car, the back seat is, I would say, shallow. It's just not good enough. They have a lot of room for improvement. Out of 0 to 10, could you rate this car in terms of the comfort?
作为我的第一辆车，其实我还是很喜欢的，我会给到8分。
Okay, well, that's a good point. This car has 276 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.4 seconds, and a top speed of 200 kilometers per hour. Well, I wouldn't say this is a slow car, but I could definitely feel better with the 300 horsepower motor on G6, and that could make this a great contention with Tesla Model 3. For now, I think it's just an EV with ordinary but not cheap enough. Is there anything you want in this car?
我想到了2个，一个点就是之前他们吹得很凶的那个空气悬架，我感觉如果有的话，这台车可能会更舒适。第二个就是800伏那个快充啥的，基本上都是用外面的那个快充站，就也至少要半个小时。
对，
如果有800伏那个充电的话，是不是就可以节省很大一个部分时间？说到这个，小朋友有一个好的就是他送了4年，就是新车主，然后会送4年，每年1500度的免费充电，所以到现在其实我的用车成本等于只有停车费。
哇，How's the power working for you?
重庆这种山城就是爬坡山卡还是很多，然后基本上是没有问题的。
This car has multi-links and double wishbones in the chassis, so it set a not very low bar for the whole experience of ride. How do you feel about this ride quality?
转弯的时候感觉挺爽的，基本上90度的弯，然后每次都油门就还是没有怎么松，然后直接过那个弯，然后其实挺有驾驶操纵感的。
Yeah. Do you think that the drivability would come in as a big factor when it comes to buying a car?
只占一部分，我感觉占50%。好开这里面肯定包含了包括智驾呀这些内容，另外一个50%就是要好看。对。
So if you have 20% extra on the budget, would you choose a high performance P7 or a bigger car but with standard power?
说到这个就是后悔没有选 Max。反正就是加2万块，会多2个雷达，然后升级成 Max， 然后现在就是一个字后悔。
So now we're in the last part, and could you share with us any after-sale problems you have encountered?
我去保养过3次，然后去维修过1次，就是时间我觉得很难约，就是你没办法约到第2天的，你必须提前1周，就是很紧急。
Well,I don't know you guys, it's a Chinese brand and it's selling in your country. So I don't know if you are getting this kind of service. So please tell me, okay? And is there any problems like relating to quality?
我这台车还好，但是我看到我们车友群里有人说有异响，好像都是车门这块。
但反正你没遇到吗？
我没遇到，这台车没有。
那就是他们的问题。Okay, so I'm gonna show you some materials we collected. That's been brought up by other owners, and they complain a lot. You don't have it, but just for your reference. The first one would be water leaking.
目前没有遇到过哎。
Yeah. I think this problem happens a lot in the early Tesla Model 3 or Model S. Like people would go into a car wash and the water just dripping down in the cabin. Yeah, that's kind of hilarious, and that's dramatic. The second one is camera failure.
全都黑了。
The 360 visual just went down. That happens a lot in other cars, like we reviewed G6 and some BYD models. Yeah, that happens in those cars.
我也没有遇到过哎，不过我有遇到就是下雨天，然后它那个雨水粘在那个倒车的那个镜头那儿，然后那个雨水又它滴下来嘛，然后它会把车上的灰尘也一起带到那个镜头上，就是会显得特别脏，然后看不清。
Then is the motor failure. There will be rattles and something like that. I'll just show you the video. But to be honest, this really gives out it come across very futuristic, you know? Like it's a really futuristic car. But after all, it's not normal. So I would say this is a problem. The next one is power limit.
这破车呀，一脚油门踩到底，只有120千瓦，你看看吧。
但它这个也有100多。
快告诉我，这个车主真是冒着生命危险的拍视频。If this happens, you pedal down, you pedal all the way to the floor, but you couldn't get all the power out of it. The last one, I wouldn't say it's a quality issue. It's more like something relating with the promise and the service. They would update their smart drive like automatically and for free. But for some reason, they fail to fulfill that commitment. So that brings some anger, and a lot of people were complaining about this.
他前段时间在他的 app 上有推出一个众筹，如果 P7i Pro 的车主想升级到 Max 的，然后大家也是1人2万块钱，他升级他软件升级成 Max， 但是纯用视觉不用雷达，他现在是众筹直接升级系统。
People actually paid extra 20,000 yuan for the smart drive, but they didn't get what they are promised with. I think that would bring a really bad trust issue between the owners and the brand. That's just not the way doing things. There's another thing. For those of you who are not familiar with the scale of this Chinese market, this is how Xpeng P7 is doing versus Tesla Model 3. Usually we say 10,000 is prosperous, 5,000 is least concerned, and 3,000 is vulnerable. And this one here, P7, I would say it's definitely endangered. So how do you think those quality issues or those problems affect your decision in the future?
在我看来，我觉得他们都比较偶然，可能只会占10%的影响吧。
Well, that's basically it for today. But before we stop rolling, how do you feel about this car?
作为我的第一辆车，我的满意度还是非常高的，很喜欢，可能达到90%吧。
Okay, so what would you say to our audience or Xpeng the maker?
也希望小鹏能够多多升级它的智驾，然后让我们每年都感觉在开新车。
Okay, thank you for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe. I'm Jack, this is Where to Go. There will be a lot more cars coming in this year, so stay close. We'll see you soon.